What if the secret to finally sleeping through the night wasn't a new mattress, a supplement, or another sleep app, but 15 minutes on a bike? For 7 days straight, I skipped my usual bedtime routine and got on my bike instead, right before lights out. No caffeine tricks, no melatonin gummies, just pedaling. And when I looked at my sleep tracker data afterward, it honestly surprised me. Stick around, because by the end of this video, I'll show you my real sleep scores, night by night, and tell you exactly whether this is something worth trying or something you should skip. Hey, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm someone who has spent way too many nights staring at the ceiling, wondering why my sleep app keeps handing me a 62 out of 100. I've tried the usual advice: blackout curtains, magnesium before bed, cutting off screens an hour early. Some of it helped a little. None of it fixed the core problem. A few weeks ago, I came across research suggesting that moderate evening exercise, done the right way, might actually improve sleep instead of wrecking it, which goes against almost everything we're told about working out at night. So I decided to test it on myself. 1 week, 15 to 20 minutes of easy low-intensity cycling, roughly 90 minutes before my planned bedtime. I tracked everything: total sleep time, deep sleep percentage, resting heart rate, and how I actually felt the next morning. No filters, no cherry-picking the good nights. Let's get into what happened. For years, the standard advice has been simple: never exercise close to bedtime. The concern is that intense activity raises your core body temperature, spikes adrenaline and cortisol, and leaves your nervous system too activated to wind down. If you've ever gone for a hard run at 9 p.m. and then laid awake with your heart still pounding at 11, you already know that feeling. It's the reason so many sleep guides tell you to finish your last workout hours before bed and spend the evening doing anything but movement. But here's the part that gets left out of that advice. Most of the research behind it looked at vigorous, high-intensity exercise, hard sprints, heavy lifting, competitive-level training. Newer research has started separating that light to moderate aerobic movement, and the picture looks different. Gentle cycling isn't the same stimulus as an all-out interval session. It's low impact, it's rhythmic, and it doesn't require the same kind of nervous system spike that keeps you staring at the ceiling. That distinction is exactly why I wanted to test cycling specifically, instead of just avoiding evening movement altogether. I also wanted something realistic, a routine I could actually stick to for 7 straight nights without it feeling like a chore, which ruled out anything too intense or time-consuming. So why might light cycling before bed help rather than hurt? A few mechanisms seem to be at play. First, there's the body temperature effect. Light aerobic exercise temporarily raises your core temperature, and about 30 to 90 minutes later, that temperature drops back down. That post-exercise cooling mirrors the natural temperature drop your body needs to trigger sleep onset. It's part of why a warm bath before bed is a classic sleep hack too. Second, moderate cycling encourages the release of endorphins and can lower circulating stress hormones over time, which may reduce the mental chatter that keeps a lot of us awake. Third, it's a form of physical fatigue without heavy cardiovascular strain, meaning your muscles get tired enough to want rest, without your heart rate staying elevated long after you stop. Sleep researchers generally agree the key variables are intensity, timing, and consistency. Keep it light, keep it at least 60 to 90 minutes before bed, and give it more than one night to see an effect. That's exactly the framework I built my 7-day test around. One more piece worth mentioning: consistency itself seems to matter almost as much as the exercise. Your body relies on regular cues to know when to start winding down, and a predictable pre-sleep routine. Same time, same low intensity, same wind down afterward, reinforces that internal clock. That's part of why I didn't just ride on random nights. I kept the timing and intensity as close to identical as possible, so any changes in my sleep data would actually reflect the habit, not random variation. Night 1, I rode an easy 15 minutes on my indoor trainer at a conversational pace. Nothing that spiked my heart rate above a light jog. Afterward, I did my normal wind down, dim lights, no phone, book for 10 minutes. My sleep tracker showed I fell asleep about 12 minutes faster than my 2-week average. which felt like a fluke, so I didn't get excited yet. Night 2. Same routine, 20 minutes this time. This is where I noticed something more consistent. My resting heart rate before sleep was lower than usual, and my deep sleep percentage ticked up by a few points. Subjectively, my legs felt pleasantly tired, not wired. Night 3 was the real test, because I'd had a stressful workday, and normally that means a rough night. I almost skipped the ride. I'm glad I didn't. I still fell asleep faster than my baseline, and while my total sleep time wasn't dramatically different, my sleep felt less fragmented. Fewer of those groggy 3 a.m. wake-ups I usually get after a stressful day. Quick pause. If you're the kind of person who's tried everything for better sleep and nothing sticks, hit subscribe, because I'm running a full month of these evidence-based sleep experiments and posting the real data every time, good or bad. Also, drop your current sleep score in the comments. I want to see how everyone's starting point compares to mine. Okay, back to the results. By night 4, I started noticing a pattern instead of isolated good nights. My average time to fall asleep across the week was trending down compared to my 2-week baseline, and my deep sleep percentage was holding steady at a higher number than before I started. That mattered to me more than total hours, because deep sleep is the stage most tied to physical recovery and how rested you actually feel. Night 5. I bumped the ride up slightly to 25 minutes just to see if more was better. It wasn't. I fell asleep at roughly the same speed as the shorter rides, but my resting heart rate overnight was very slightly higher, suggesting there's a sweet spot rather than a more is better relationship. Good data point. Night 6 and 7, I went back to 15 to 20 minutes. Both nights I woke up before my alarm feeling genuinely rested, not just not exhausted. My energy in the first hour after waking was noticeably better than the start of the week, which lines up with what better deep sleep tends to do for next-day alertness. Averaging the full 7 nights against my 2-week baseline, I fell asleep faster on 5 out of 7 nights. My average deep sleep percentage increased, and my average resting heart rate during sleep trended slightly lower. My subjective morning energy, rated on a simple 1 to 10 scale, went from an average of about 5 before the experiment to closer to 7 by the end of the week. Now, I want to be honest about the limits here. This is a sample size of 1 person over 1 week without a controlled comparison group. So, it's not proof cycling before bed will do this for everyone. Sleep is influenced by stress, diet, screen time, and dozens of other variables I couldn't fully isolate. What I can say is that the direction of the results matches what the existing research on light evening aerobic exercise suggests. And for me personally, the experiment is worth continuing. If you're going to try this yourself, the practical takeaways are: keep the intensity light and conversational. Aim for roughly 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Don't overdo the duration, and give it more than 1 night before judging the results. And if you have any underlying heart or sleep conditions, talk to your doctor before changing your routine. It's also worth pointing out what this experiment didn't test. I didn't change my diet, my caffeine intake, or my screen habits during the week, which means cycling was the one clear variable I added on top of my normal routine. That's part of why I feel comfortable connecting it to the improvement I saw. But it also means a longer trial, ideally with a few weeks of true baseline data and some nights off to compare against, would give a much clearer picture. That's exactly the kind of follow-up test I'm planning next. So, did cycling before bed actually help me sleep better? Based on a full week of real tracker data, yes, more nights than not. Was it a miracle fix? No, but it was simple, free, and low risk, which is more than I can say for half the sleep gadgets I've tried. If you want to see whether the results hold up over a full month, or if they fade out, that's exactly what I'm testing next. So subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Let me know in the comments if you've tried exercising before bed, what worked, and what didn't. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.